Greetings adventurers, and welcome to the Loot Goblin Marketplace. I'm a fan of playing D&D in person, but that usually requires you having friends nearby, and most of my college friends don't live in the same state anymore. So when I hear that you can go to a bar dedicated to D&D, I really wanted to check it out. But sadly, your local game store or bar runs the risk of attracting the same problem players and dungeon masters that you find on your online forums. If the problem player is an individual that is a regular or even the owner of the establishment, it can be very hard to avoid them. But I say that you should always give it a shot because odds are he got on some other people's nerves too. So just find them and exchange info to figure out who can host next week's session. Have you ever been doing campaign prep and had an idea that you loved but you couldn't find the right map? Or has your session ever gone in a direction you haven't prepared for but want to provide a fun encounter that feels like it was planned all along? dScryb is perfect as a tool to supplement and enhance homebrew campaigns and adventure books with its huge library of read-aloud text and film-quality ambience, sound effects, and music. Imagine a scenario where your party is supposed to be investigating a monster in the forest that is terrorizing the town, but an offhand comment you made about a goblin camp has the party captivated. Now you need to come up with a goblin camp on the fly or the party is going to be disappointed, and you don't know where to begin. If you use today's sponsor dScryb, you can come up with a quick battle map, a great description, and the perfect ambient music. They'll think that you planned it from the start. Use Loot Goblin when selecting your plan and get a free 30-day trial on any of the plans. So you can take it for a spin for your next session and see if you found it helpful without any risk. Click the link in the description and check out dScryb now. Today's treasure goes by the name D&D Turf War at our local bar. My walk of life mostly incorporates TTRPGs, heavy metal, cold lagers, and cheese curds. So when I stumbled across a bar that specializes in all the above, I instantly fell in love. The space is truly exceptional. They have a large but relatively private game room, separated from the bar by a long hallway. The first time I stumbled across this place, I noticed the game room and a handcrafted beholder beer bong hanging from the ceiling. I asked the bartender if they had any D&D games I could attend as a player or a dungeon master. They directed me to a Facebook group where they organize their events. This group has been meeting every Wednesday at 7:30. I dusted off the old Facebook app and started drafting a post. Hey, new to this community. I'm an experienced dungeon master and I'm looking to run a D&D 5th edition one-shot on 3 weeks from the next Wednesday at the bar. The one-shot is designed to incorporate a tarot card reading and the party goes on a journey that fulfills the fortune of the cards. Let me know if you're interested. The post got a lot of likes and comments from interested players, but after a few hours, I received a comment from the admin. Let's call him Gob. Sorry to burst your bubble, but this group is for already organized games hosted by myself and other DM. We have the back room reserved and usually fill up all available seats we can without too much noise pollution / overcrowding. We've been staying away from 5th edition after running it at the bar for 4-ish years, and have moved on to DCC, which is Dungeon Crawl Classics. DCC, in my opinion, is far more suited for a bar game and much easier to learn for newcomers, as well as much less toxic in community, company, and also the inability to power game is a big plus from the system, aka get that 5e shit out of here, please, lol. I'm kidding, but for reals, no thanks. Now, if you'd like to talk to the bar and schedule another day or maybe play in the front, separate, you're more than welcome. Alternatively, you could just join us on Wednesday and check out what we do before starting a whole new thing. The post was locked and comments were turned off after that. A little off-putting, condescending, and judgmental, but whatever, just a Facebook post. A few days go by and I decide to join them the following Wednesday. When I get to the table, the vibe is cold. Gob doesn't really engage me when I try to make some pre-game small talk. I tried asking questions about DCC, a system I was unfamiliar with, and they just tossed a book at me and said, look it up. I spent the rest of the pre-game reading my class, looking up basic rules, and trying to figure out the best way to stay alive in such a meat grinder system. Okay, right off the bat here, we have basically the equivalent of the Mean Girls, I guess, in this Facebook group. I like how they pretend that they're going to give the guy the option where they can make another campaign, you know, in the front of the bar if they ask, but they lock the comments basically saying, no, we're not going to help you do that. Just show up, you'll know that we do it better, and after a game, you know, you'll be like wowed by my DMing or something. And the whole, haha, we don't really do 5th edition here. It totally sucks, you know, it's really toxic. Just kidding, you know, if you like it, that's fine, but I'd never be caught dead playing it. Definitely does come off as pretty condescending. So yeah, we're really off to a bad start here, but let's just see how it plays out in game. Everything but my class got randomly generated. The background I got was farmer, so I had a pet pig with me. I named her Tulip and made my character very much love this pig like a child. The dungeon master then started calling me a pig screwer and the party started chiming in. Whatever, although mean-spirited, it's still pretty funny. I just rolled it into my character's interactions. This dwarf named Ingot being all too familiar with other dwarfs not understanding the innocent bond he has with this sweet Tulip, just like his dad forcing him to be a miner, not understanding his passion for raising those wonderful creatures. As the game went on, Tulip was used to good effect, scouting ahead, creating distractions, and generally being an asset to the party. We got to the point where we saw a cliff face, nothing but a rope attached to a broken lift. Ingot, my dwarf, volunteered to go scout ahead by rappelling down the rope. Before he left, he said, "If anything happens to me down there, be sure to take care of Tulip for me." They responded with apathy about the pig. As Ingot starts ascending, he sees a pink burl careening towards him. It was Tulip. He dropped his longsword to free up an arm to attempt to catch the pig. Roll failed, Tulip falls to her death. The party had tossed this pig over the edge for no reason other than to be a dick. Now, I don't like to get upset about things that happen in an imaginary world, but I couldn't help but feel like this was an attack on me, the player. It was pointless and was very mean, and narratively, it had left me no choice but to retaliate. This is not something Ingot would just ignore and shrug off. Ingot started climbing up with an intensity behind his eyes that burns hotter than his compassion for his blessed Tulip. Ingot was a level 1, most of the party was level 3+, the culprit behind the slaughter was a wizard. I did not know much about the game, but I did know that at level 1 I could choose a shove ability on a successful roll. It moves any creature 10 feet in a chosen direction, and the wizard just so happened to be standing on a cliff face. The sound of the pig's corpse slamming against the cold hard floor had woken up what seemed to be a massive insect. Ingot did not care, he had tunnel vision. He needed to avenge his pig. Ingot reaches the top of the cliff face with the insect hot on his trail. He begins to shove the wizard towards the cliff. A success, but still 5 feet to go, the wizard casts darkness. Now, I wish I could tell you this ends in Ingot trifling with a level 4 wizard to avenge his poor Tulip, but the dungeon master wouldn't let this work. We fought off the insect, then after the battle, the wizard cast a calming spell on me, since if I kept shoving him, it could end up in a total party kill, and some people have characters that they have been working on for months. So I decided to go out of my character and back off, at least until we kill this big bug. After we kill this bug, the calm spell is used again. The only way forward was down that cliffside. I was pretty checked out at this point, so both Ingot and I were pretty absent from the following roleplay. The wizard decides to make his way down the rope. Another player seems to emphasize with me. It was pretty apparent that all my fun got taken away. She found an opportunity to kill the wizard and took it. She cut the rope that the wizard was ascending down. The session kind of ended soon after that since the player was pretty upset. I realized this group was not for me, so I decided to take Gob's advice and start my own D&D night for Tuesdays. I asked Gob if I could post on the Facebook page in a private message, and he responded, "Dungeon Master, please make another group. I reserved that group for Wednesday events, sorry." Me, damn, very unchill. I guess I'll do that then. Dungeon Master, unnecessary dude. I spun up some ads, started a Discord server, and began promoting the games and servers on various Facebook groups for local D&D meetups as well as neighborhood pages. I got a lot of interest and started getting more players. Even some people who had tried the Wednesday night group and had bad experiences with them had shown up. Our first night, we had a turnout of about 10. It was a big success. After a few weeks of running my games, I reached out to Gob and asked if he wanted to join my server so we could have a space to promote his games to my new audience. After all, a rising tide floats all ships. He joined and I created a space for him to talk about his DCC games. I asked him to come and play in one of my games and he declined. We had been growing so much that I need a second DM to host a second table. I asked Gob if he would like to lend a hand, but he declined again. I gave the responsibility to a former Wednesday night player, we can call him James. Oddly enough, Gob started showing up and playing in his games. Every once in a while, we do a special night where instead of a one-shot, we do a continuing storyline of some 5e adventures in Ravenloft, dungeon mastered by James. In this campaign, I played a war cleric with a great weapon fighter, basically a different kind of paladin with more of a focus on mixing martial, ranged spell attacks, status magic, and of course powerful healing. His whole shtick was his church was basically an MLM. People, generally, got a laugh out of it. Gob, on the other hand, did not. He constantly criticized me for not playing my character like a cleric, how I should be saving my spell slots for buffs instead of using guiding bolts. He continued to ridicule me after the game on my Discord server. I clapped back a few times and just let it be. It's all just imaginary shit. At this point, I've been running games at the bar on Tuesdays for about 10 months. Stranger Things Season 4 just came out. We have seen a massive boon in new players. We went from around 2 tables of 4 players to 2 tables of 7 or 8. It got me thinking, I have enough players now to get some shirts printed and get them all at cost. As soon as I announce the shirts, Gob announces he'll be also printing shirts. I am just thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice if we could just get one big order instead of being petty? It would have been cheaper for everyone if we could just order with a larger volume. We could also chip in on a professional illustrator and get something really iconic. Yeah, but the problem here is Gob was the only guy in town and you're kind of stealing his thunder now, and he feels really insecure about it is what I'm getting from this. I don't really know much about James in this situation, but the fact that you got him as a second DM and the fact that Gob feels like now he has to like check in on Tuesdays to make sure everything's okay is really a sign that he feels like he's losing momentum to you, and he's probably losing some of his more consistent players like James. Because honestly, when you're a shitty dungeon master, it's a lot easier to tear down the newcomer than it is to actually hone your craft and become, you know, someone that actually brings people back to their table. I posted a video that I made on this Facebook group to show off my portable dungeon master kit I use. It's a nice little black case with encounters in it, nice compartment for dice, minis, and spell radius tiles. I was pretty proud how it turned out, so I was excited to share it. He quickly deleted my post and said, "Do you use this for your Tuesday night games? This group is for Wednesday, tisk tisk tisk." He then suspended me from the Facebook group. Then he made his own Discord server and added everyone the link before leaving my server. Only about 4 of my players joined, including me. He shortly banned me from his server as well. I never made a single post there. Not sure what I did to piss this guy off, but live and let live. I'm not going to meet his pettiness with more pettiness. I'm just going to do my shit, and I'm sure it'll continue to be successful. In less than a year, I've grown to a level it took him 5 years to achieve. Although this shit is not a competition, the only win here is to make sure the players have a good time, as well as making sure the bar gets some new customers. It would be really nice if we could have a cooperative relationship, and honestly, I don't hate the guy. I'm sure if he was not trying so hard not to like me, we would probably be friends. We clearly have a lot in common. It's unfortunate that things are where they are, and I don't see things changing from his perspective. On multiple occasions, I've asked him to grab a beer sometime so we could talk some of these conflicts out. He's turned me down every time. Also, he has never been to one of my one-shot tarot games. I think when you said that you grew in 1 year as quickly as he did in 5, that really does solidify the fact that this guy's just being insecure. Using attendance as an indicator of how successful a table is something I never really understood in more of a cooperative environment where there's like West marches and multiple tables where anyone can play at your local game store. In theory, everyone really should have a different ideal like party size. So if you're a dungeon master and you want to play with 3 to 5 people, and there's dungeon masters who prefer the chaos of like, 6+, the players that like smaller groups or like bigger groups can flock to those. And then yeah, maybe there's some imbalance. Maybe sometimes a dungeon master is considered really good, so like all 10 players want to play there and then the other guy's kind of the odd one out. That does kind of suck. But when you're playing Wednesdays with a more niche TTRPG and then a guy says, "I'm going to play on Tuesdays and I'm going to play 5th edition," which is just a more popular tabletop role-playing game, and they put a lot more effort into advertising online than just a Facebook group, yeah, that guy's going to blow you out of the water really quickly. But if you're above 5th edition and that community's toxic anyways, why do you care if all those players are playing on Tuesday? You should actually prefer it. You should be thanking him as the lightning rod that's attracting all the bad players, since, everyone that plays 5th edition is insufferable. I guess you could maybe argue that the author here is being a little pushy about being friends. He's like, hey, we're both dungeon masters, so we should help each other, and should have picked up a little bit earlier that this guy wants nothing to do with him. But I can't really blame him for trying, and I'm really curious how the bar plays a role here. It appears that no one here is really an employee of the establishment, so I guess that's really good to hear, because really if it comes down to 2 regulars at the bar hating each other so much that they're just going to have to show up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays where it's not really that packed anyways, the bar gets 2 slow nights where they get more drinks sold, more appetizers. Really in this RPG horror story, the bar's coming out looking golden, so I'm glad to see that. I feel like usually in RPG horror stories I read, when there's like a local game store, or I guess in this case like a local game bar, it's like the owner or an employee causing all the trouble and just scaring away customers. So yeah, if you ever see a bar that matches this description, just make sure not to talk about Tuesday night games on Wednesday night. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I really want to hear your comments below. And if you really want to help the channel, try out the trial for dScryb and become a member if you can. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Farewell for now.